I have with me David Rose from Ditto, out of Brookland, Mass?
Brookline, Mass.
Brookline,
yes,
Mass.
Yes.
Thank you.
The company is in Cambridge.
In Cambridge.
Near MIT, yes.
Great. David, tell me about Ditto. I love the name.
Yeah, so we have a company that's trying to solve this problem for brands that increasingly people used to communicate online with text, right? You know, tweets and Tumblr and that type of thing. But now people are mostly communicating through photos, right? So 750 million photos are uploaded every day on social networks. And for the most part, those photos are being posted without text, without hashtags, and people are just sharing through taking pictures. And for a brand, like if you're a consumer packaged goods or an apparel brand, you'd like to see how people are using your product. But today you're going blind. Like you have no ability to peer into those images and find all of your images out of the 750 million images that are being shared. So Ditto has created a platform that uses machine vision, sort of the same tech that came out of finding bad guys in airports. Mm-hmm. And we look at the images and we find patterns like Burberry or Gucci. We find brands like Coke and Red Bull and car brands, and we find glasses and jewelry, and then we deliver that information, that metadata, that big photo data, to the brand so they can see how's my product being used and by whom and where. So it's a enterprise marketing tool.
So is it also a matching algorithm?
It's exactly right. Yeah, it's a matching algorithm. So we train the system on pristine images of about 1,000 brands right now. And then each image that comes through, which is all done up in the cloud, right up there,
right up there.
is compared against these images that have been trained on and says, is it Coke? Is it Pepsi? Is it Burger King? Is it Gucci? And then we find matches and then we deliver them to the brands.
So, David, where does the technology come from?
Well, the team is most of the team is out of MIT. They've been doing image processing, in some cases, over 20 years. They work for places like Cognex, which is sorting pills and baggage and doing critical video analysis for manufacturing in many cases. And we're applying this technology, which has been developed over the last 10 years, but we're applying that to marketing.
And how did you come up as CEO of deciding to do this?
Well, I think we realized that there was a sort of perfect storm opportunity, that everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's uploading photos, those photos don't have text, and most of the analytics tools that are being used now by Salesforce, Radian6, Sysomos, Adobe has a product now, all of those just look at text. And we thought there's really a problem here that brands have in order to be able to see how people are using products.
See how they use that's an interesting. Visualize it completely.
Yeah.
So how long's the company been around?
We've been around a year and a half. We charge $1,000 per brand per month, and it's been relatively easy to get customers for this sort of SaaS service because we say we've already been aggregating data about your brand and your users. Would you like to see the data? And they say, absolutely. And $1,000 a month is almost nothing. And usually it's sort of a land and expand sales strategy where if Red Bull starts using it and then they say, well, what about Monster Energy drink? And what about Diet Coke as a new energy product? And so rapidly they want to track a competitive set as well.
That is absolutely fascinating. So this way visually of tracking your brand, how often, the number of times it is used, in what context it's used.
Yeah, and by whom. I mean, there's a big organic opportunity to find new fans. We started working with Manchester United, which is a big UK soccer team, and they found if they just look at who's wearing Manchester United, it's all over the world. We started looking at Twitter streams from Hong Kong and from parts of India, and they can unlock and grow their brand in a really powerful and organic way. It's sort of true signs of fandom. I'll tell you another use case for the technology, which is really interesting, is we're working with Coke on brand protection. So a lot of people are taking pictures of the brand and then sort of hijacking the brand. Right. Like they're manipulating it. They're taking a picture in a way that is disparaging to the brand. And these brands have been building up their imprimaturs for decades, and it's a very valuable asset. So they want to know right away when someone is taking a picture that that might go viral.
So, a year and a half the company's been around. Did you bootstrap it? Did you get financing? How did?
Yeah, this is my 6th startup, so I've been doing this a while. We made 10x return for our investors in the last startup, so it was relatively easy to go back to Nicholas Negroponte, who founded the Media Lab, where I was a student, where I teach now. Some people that own ad agencies like Bill Sheehan from Hill Holiday. He's the chairman of Hill Holiday in Boston. Ken Barnett, who owns an ad agency in London and in Detroit. So we wanted to find people that understood advertising and understood big data, and we raised $1.1 million as a seed round, and now we're out looking for our A.
And how much, without meaning to get into your business, are you going to do a traditional A, 3 to 5 million?
Yes, yeah. I think that will allow us to, the technology works. We have some referenceable customers, and now we just have to build a sales force. Although I don't know how much time we have, but there's a really interesting, I think, strategic question for a capability company like this, because you could easily argue that we should be embedded in Salesforce and Sysomos and Radian6 and Adobe's tool. And so the question is, where do you sit in the stack? Right? Mm-hmm. Should we offer an API and offer a very sort of commoditized, fairly low margin product to many people and sit low in the stack? Or do we build a sales force and go after L'Oreal and Burger King and Pepsi and Ford and try to go after the brands directly with the data? And that's a high margin but high cost of sale approach. So we're trying to balance, and like a canonical bad entrepreneur, we're experimenting with both. Really, I should just decide and do one well, but instead we have some people using our API, and we have other companies that we're working with directly, and we're sort of doing the experiment.
Well, the market will tell you.
I hope so. Fast.
I guess as you've been an entrepreneur,
I'd like to fail one of those fast.
Fail fast is always good.
Right.
But given you've been an entrepreneur 5 times before, I'm sure it's something you've done in the same manner before. What's the biggest challenge going forward?
It always seems to be sales. It just, like, the technology works and it's polished and we have patents and raising money and getting customers just seems to be the perennial problem. Because if we're too early, like most of the time it's an evangelical sale. We go in and we're doing this project for Coke, and we go in and we make this pitch to their agency first, and they say, oh, we've never seen anything like this. This is fantastic. This is amazing. Will you buy it? We didn't really know it existed, so we didn't allocate any budget for it, and we, maybe next year's budget cycle, or so there's always this problem of, if you're too early to market, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to educate clients, and they don't know how much to pay, and you don't have direct competitors, and so that's good for investors like you to have no clear competitors, but I would sort of rather have a couple of competitors and say, we're like those guys which you were going to use, except cheaper, faster, better.
Well, when there is competition, there's clearly a market.
Yeah, right.
When there's no competition, there's a question of, will there be a market?
Exactly.
And I guess you like the market to be there already, if possible.
Yeah.
Anything you've learned out of South by Southwest so far, entrepreneurially?
Well, I see so many social media monitoring companies here, and I think I learned a little bit about that last point, which was you can exist side by side with Hootsuite and Sysomos, all these companies, given a good sales force and a good product, even if it's not incredibly differentiated, it's still a good business and a good market.
Good business and good market. David, I'm so appreciative of you being here. This video is going to be seen by a number of different people. Is there a message you'd like to leave with them about Ditto?
Well, I guess I think Ditto is one of these classic cases of taking a technology that was used in one context, in Homeland Security essentially, and sort of pulling it out and applying it into digital marketing, in another context. And I think that's a pattern as an entrepreneur that I would encourage other people to find. Either transplant a technology from one geography to another geography, or from one market vertical to another market vertical, and usually that's a good recipe for success, I think.
All I can say is ditto. Thank you, David.
Thank you.